We're glad to have you back. As Nigerians continue to face the hardship caused by the effects of COVID-19 lockdowns, well, no more lockdowns at the moment, but the figures are still on the high side. And sustained land border closures, which has caused the cost of major food items and essential services to skyrocket nationwide. The report of the November inflation again shows that prices of food is far from abating, as food index rose sharply by 18.3% compared to 17.38% in October 2020, representing 0.92% higher than the preceding month. However, prices of food items are known to be downward sticky in Nigeria, as food items across diverse food classes have experienced price increases in recent times. Of all the items, staple food items are the most affected, especially the prices of rice, gari, yam, potatoes, yam flour, to the prices of relatively flaring items like semovita, semolina, or poundo yam. As the festive season beckons, the purchasing power parity of households is challenged due to the current economic situation, as the cost of cooking a meal in Nigeria today is twice as expensive as it was a year ago. With the rising inflation rate and the current recession, the question on the lips of many Nigerians is, what is the way forward? To answer this question and many others, I have been with me in our Lagos studio. He's an agribusiness coach and a consultant. He's also the chairman, Agriculture and Agro-Allied Group of the Lagos Chairman of Commerce and Industry. He wears many caps. African farmer Mogaji. Thank you very much for your time. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me today.
You know, when I was thinking about food, the next thing it was you I thought of. I said, you are the right person to help us understand what we should expect, so that when Madam is saying this is the amount, I will understand that it is true. Yeah. But really, look at the figures we've seen from inflation. It's not looking very good. I told Prof earlier, we have a lot to grapple with at this very time. Now, looking at food, what are we really seeing at this time, coupled with the farmers not being able to go to the farms? It's scary, honestly.
Yes. Well, this year has been quite interesting. It's been very rough. Climate challenges, COVID lockdown, protest, name it.
2020.
Dollar going up. So bottom line, what we are seeing is just a backlog of the challenges from January, and there might not be anything we can do about it. It's not the government's fault, because nobody has planned pandemic before, So as old as they are, they've not witnessed one. But bottom line is that 2021, we should have planned now. Vis-a-vis climate change, the biggest challenge is going to be climate change and insecurity. So by that now, we should have a plan for that. And that's where, I have some issues, with the planning, because some things we ought to see being put in place, some engagements that that can improve really. But right now, we should just, manage the Christmas, manage the New Year. So we can influence first quarter 2021.
Okay.
But we can make a change second quarter 2021. But all that starts now. It's too late for first quarter, because the food that we produce is already in the nursery. Everything for 2021 first quarter is actually going on now. For us to change second quarter, which is when food normally goes very expensive every year, at least for the last 10, 15 years that I've been mapping and leveraging that high prices, we can change that. We can bring the prices of tomatoes down. We can bring the prices of peppers, basic things that's consumed, maize and cocoa. We can bring that price down, but it starts now.
Starts now. So what do we need to start doing at the moment? For me, I always say this. I see a lot of efforts, and it's always on paper. There's an agriculture, whatever scheme. There's a national scheme. There are a series of schemes on ground for farmers to be able to access funding. Now, Prof also touched on it, and Prof talked about 4 million farmers, or what are the figures, saying they've been able to do this, they've been able to do. We had reports, a lot of reports, and I read through almost on daily basis. What's the true picture? What's happening? You're on the field at the same time in the office. What's really playing out?
So you see, the challenge with all these beautiful, and I use the word beautiful and commendable initiatives, is synergy. There's no synergy. There's no synergy. Everybody is having a beautiful initiative, beautiful idea that can transform the food security in Nigeria everybody is operating in isolation. And so it won't work. Is CBN, and this is a question, is CBN collaborating with Ministry of Agric in the field, not in the policy? In the field, when you go to the field, are they collaborating? Is water resources brought into the conversation? Recently, we began to hear about NISA, clearing of land. Is it not what Ministry of Agric can do? So we're not seeing synergy. The only thing missing, that we're not seeing this transformation and the miracles happening in spite of the resources put in, and I give it to this administration, I always commend.
Indeed.
They've put in a lot of money, money touching base. They've put it in, but we're not seeing results. It's like a chicken that is sweating, and we're not seeing it because of the feathers. So beautiful. They just need to synergize. They need to synergize. Next year, for us to have food on our table, it is primarily Ministry of Water Resources. They control dry season farming. The funds that get to them normally get to them when there's this initiative, CBN and Co. normally get their match. It's already late because it's the northern belt. And so because of the insecurity, it needs to start early. So any funding that does not get to the farmers, especially dry season farmer, by end of January, it's late. And so because we have this pressure, I would want the presidency and the vice president's office to pay attention critically, because if we don't have the food and we open it up, things like, tomatoes and co. will come from, at least, I've gone to many of the West African countries where these things come from.
Our borders, right?
Our borders. Opened. Yeah, once we open that borders, the Nigerian farmers have a challenge because they are prepared there. The infrastructure is there. They release funding and support on time. So ideally, in spite of all our production and waste, we still have tomatoes coming from Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Mali, Ghana, Republic of Benin. I've been there. Nobody's telling me stories. How they come, and they still come at the highest price, and they are the first to sell out in the markets. Meaning the demand is there. So can we take advantage? Yes. The seeds they use there, we use here. So we just need synergy. And two, we need the people who know this business inside out to be in charge of these parastatals. We have quite a lot of people there who don't know this job.
Yes.
Say, for instance, some of the parastatals, I won't mention names now.
Okay.
The people who know the system are already retired. In the last 10, 15 years, the recruitment has been family and friends, not professionals. So that gap, we're filling it now. It has nothing to do with this administration. It just means that we have that at hand. Can we bring at the helm of affairs people who know the business? I've been a farmer with the River Basin since 1995. I did my internship there, and commercially since 1998. Till date, operating across. So there's nothing new. It's just synergy. There's nothing new. And the administration needs to take care of that synergy and bring in square pegs in square holes.
Now, let's take it from that synergy. That synergy you're talking about, is it something like what we had during Lake Rice? Look at Lagos and Kebbi coming together, and it was fruitful. People were able to get that right. So are you seeing more states coming together like this? Okay, like for example, Lagos. What kind of land do we have in Lagos? Aside areas like Ekpe and Badagry that I can think of,
yes.
I don't see any where you can start if I'm somewhere around where we are. So
you see, the synergy is working with comparative advantage.
All right.
I always say this: Lagos has the highest comparative advantage when it comes to vegetables.
Yeah.
When it comes to vegetable exports to UAE, UK, all those countries. Lagos has that comparative advantage, but we are yet to leverage, even though there's work in pipeline to leverage that. So we need to work with comparative advantage. Ogun, Lagos, or regionally, we need to revisit that conversation of producing food regionally. So we're not still working. And one other thing is that we're not getting private sector and government really integrated in this conversation. It is still government-led, even though it's the policy and the paperwork is government-private. But it's still mostly government-led. They still take that decision instead of creating platforms. But When I'm talking about this synergy is CBN just providing funds and allow and equip Ministry of Agriculture to do the monitoring and evaluation. That synergy is missing off. We have a common goal to feed Nigerians for the next 20 years. It's happening in isolation until we have the project that everybody has a component, a function. Somebody's handling your microphone while you are here.
Yeah.
Until we know that everybody's role, somebody cleaned this place today.
True.
Until we pay attention to everybody's role. And nobody taking the shine. So right now, some parastatal is taking the shine. And the way government parastatals work is they fold their hands. So when you need things from them, they just say, you didn't tell us before, we need to service the equipment.
They hold you.
Yes.
Down.
But are they justified? Yes. Because they do the work, but nobody, pays attention to them, gives them any credit. So we need government to sit them down to say, we'll sack you all if you don't deliver this together. Find a way or you will lose.
Let's touch something very important as we almost round off this discussion, which is transportation, movement of this. Because I know that, for example, Mount 12 that is close to us here, goods coming from the north most times.
Yes.
What's been happening with regards to also hiking the price of PMS? We know diesel has been deregulated. Any effect of this too also on prices?
Yes, it is. It's affecting because the drivers, don't forget, the people, about 80% or 90% of the people controlling the transport value chain are not schooled. They are uneducated. So they don't understand that what I'm doing affects you. No, food on my table. So bottom line is they are also increasing the prices. And as that is going on, it's creating a challenge across the value chain. I would expect that the trains that we're focusing mainly on commuting human beings, we should be focusing on commuting food. So we're talking about it, but it should be food first because it's with the food that we have challenges now. So we need to have the train because you can calculate the number of hours. There's construction going up in various states in the country. So as construction is taking place to improve the roads, it's also causing a bottleneck of getting the food to where we need, which is temporal, but it's good because when they finish the roads, it's better. But the rail, you can say 2 hours, you'll get it there. And because of that system, we also need special rails, special trains.
For some kind of produce.
So government needs to focus on that very fast because they've invested heavily in the rails and we need those trains to work for food and not for humans.
Indeed, a parting shot from you now. How optimistic are you? Because I see a lot of optimism. Look at Prof. Prof said he's optimistic that by next year, if all things are equal, we could get out of recession. African Farmer, tell us what you also think. What will happen? Nigerians are bothered. Some of that is stuck in their houses because they don't know what will happen. Onions, more than 200% hike.
Yes. Well, it's normal. You see, 2021 is going to be a good year for the farmers that can play scenario planning, can play scenarios. Food is going to go higher next year. So if you can understand the production value chain or the value chains generally, it's going to be a very good year. I'm very optimistic. 2021 is going to be my best year in over 23 years. So no matter how hard it is, we understand the scenario. We've been waiting. And now that there's recession, I would call it recession. It's resetting the dynamics and will take advantage.
So we should take advantage of it. You heard it from him. He's an agribusiness coach, a consultant, and chairman of Agriculture and Agro-Allied Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, African Farmer Mogaji. Thank you very much for spending your afternoon with us and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then. Let's take a break. And when we return, we have more for you on the show. Don't go away to Your Business Nigeria. Yes, it's your business, Nigeria. Before we go, let's talk to you and bring you closing details from the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Well, trading is on the positive side. All share indexes up 0.76%. Top gainers for today, we have Jais Bank, Mansard Insurance, Zenith Bank, Sky AVN, and Access Bank. Top losers, we have WAPCO, UCAP, Dangote Sugar, Oando, and NNFM. Let's now look on the Asian side, where stocks are buoyant today, and the dollar eased as hopes of effective coronavirus vaccines and the growing prospects of more U.S. fiscal stimulus cheered investors ahead of the Christmas holiday season. In a sign of positive momentum, was set to extend the Euro Stock 50 futures and German DAX futures at 0.1% higher, while futures for London FTSE from 0.3%. MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside of Japan rose 0.8% after 2 straight days of losses. Australian shares rose 0.8%. South Korea's Kospi was up 0.4%. Japan's Nikkei added 0.2%. China's blue chip CSI 300 index added 0.15%. And Hong Kong's Hang Seng index climbed 0.86%. Imani futures and S&P 500 were off 0.05%. Overnight, US and European stocks, gold and oil were up 8. The Dow Jones 1.1%. S&P 500 and Nasdaq climbed 1.3% each. The Federal Reserve today will offer its first glimpse of how coronavirus vaccine has changed the U.S. economic outlook and whether businesses, workers, families need more help from the central bank until inoculations and immunities are widespread. The conclusion of the Fed's last policy meeting of 2020 will cap a tumultuous year in which it slashed interest rates, ramped up bond purchases, and took other extraordinary measures to stem the economic carnage of the pandemic. The landscape, however, has since changed dramatically since Fed policymakers held their last 2-day meeting in early November, with the rollout of one COVID-19 vaccine and another one on the way, almost certain to boost the outlook for 2021. Oil prices on the international market dropped today on a surprise gain in crude oil inventories in the United States, and as investors continue to worry about demand for fuel, being squeezed amid tighter lockdowns in Europe to counter the coronavirus pandemic. Now, Brent sells for $50.57 per barrel, recording a decline of 0.39%. But for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $49.65 per barrel, recording an increase in price of 0.14%. Thank you very much for watching. It's a wrap on the show for today. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of our programming. Stay with TVC News.